Since 1983, FAME has helped business and education work for Maine. Contact the authority, the Finance Authority of Maine.
Welcome. This is our Afterthoughts segment where we keep our guests around from our broadcast program for some extra questions to get some things we didn't cover and to hopefully drill down and get a little more detail. Today we have with us Senator Libby Mitchell. She is a Democratic candidate for governor, so we asked her to stick around, so I'm glad you could do that. Folks are going to be hopping on the web to see this. So we had a lot of things we didn't get to, so let's jump right back in and get some of those. One of the ones I wanted to ask about was regulations, first of all. We didn't even talk about that. And that's become, as we were saying, kind of a major rallying cry for businesses, you know, one of those things that's a problem, and it gets to that predictability issue. So we know Elliott Cutler proposes to eliminate BEP, Bureau of Environmental Protection, complaining that it's a public's chance to have its say, and you want to keep it because the public can have a chance to be a part of that board. So talk more about that. Why is that effective, do you think?
Well, Mr. Cutler doesn't want to just eliminate it. He wants to replace it with a 3-judge panel, with the judges coming from our already seriously underfunded judiciary. And secondly, only a lobbyist or a lawyer would be very comfortable going before a 3-judge panel. The Board of Environmental Protection is a citizen's opportunity to talk about a regulation that's very important. Most recently, it was a chance for parents to come and talk about bisphenol A, which is a toxic chemical in baby bottles and sippy cups. And unfortunately, it is still in the screw top lids of glass baby food. So that's an issue. And why shouldn't people, without a lawyer, without having to go before a panel of judges, why would Maine give that up? I have never heard a business in Maine saying, please get rid of good regulations. We want to sell poison toys. They don't want to.
So what's the big hubbub about
I think the big
regulations?
hubbub is there may be some redundancy, and there is a timeliness issue. That was when we first began our conversation. I talked about business advocates. I want an advocate to walk you through the various regulations and rules, and that there's a time. However, I would
I mean an employee, a state employee?
Yes, but assigned to you, like you need something from the Department of Transportation. Maybe you need a culvert for your new business, or maybe you need to go to the Environmental Protection for wetlands mitigation, or maybe you need just clean water for you're running a bed and breakfast. But there are myriad agencies, and nobody's going to collapse every agency into one, but boy, they're going to be talking across those silos.
Will that person be able to do that and help?
Yes.
Because we talked about it's the timeliness, it's the predictability issue for businesses.
And then if we find redundant regulations, get rid of those. But also,
so there's a very distinct difference between you and some of the other candidates. You're saying government has a role in this, and has a role in improving business. They say get government out of business.
Anybody who wants clean water or clean air or doesn't want to pollute the coast of Maine, who says they don't believe in regulations, I don't really think they mean that. What they want is timeliness and predictability. And let me mention one more thing.
Sure.
I want to implement, it's not very glamorous to talk about, but lean management. It's a management practice where you look at how you do stuff and you get rid of processes that are a waste of time.
Lean management in government.
We do it in some departments, but it's best practices. Businesses do this too. You find something good, you put it everywhere. So we put that there. An example of, they've reduced the time it takes to get a death certificate over to the court from about a year to 6 weeks or something like that. The numbers may be wrong, but the point is, greatly telescoped. So whatever we do needs to be efficient and quick, and it needs to be customer friendly. You don't need to get on some line and listen to music playing or anything else. You need someone who's there for you.
We're getting to the heart of the, as you said, it's really part of it's a referendum on what's the role of government.
Absolutely.
So,
and people don't feel government's been very responsive.
Do you see there's a role for privatizing some of those functions in government?
Could be. Could be.
Can you think of any? Have you thought of any that could be?
No, I haven't yet, but we have done that where appropriate. But what I would do, when we're issuing contracts for the state, here's another business practice I'm going to implement. Some contracts don't have benchmarks in them. And so I would want all contracts for the state to say you will deliver X by Y, and if you don't, the state's not going to pay you the full amount that you offered. So it really is building in accountability both ways, for the contractors with the state as well as the state. We should do our part as well.
This is a question I asked other candidates, so I feel comfortable asking you too. Everybody's talking about, and you've thought about, you're going to be the CEO of the Corporation of Maine.
Exactly.
So you've been thinking about all these agencies that are under you, these departments. Which is the best and which is the worst? Is there something that needs to be cut?
It's not so much cutting, but they have to be mission-driven.
So give me the best and the worst. Can you?
Okay, I'll give you an example right now. I think we need to refocus the mission of the Department of Education. I had a principal tell me, I'm not sure what they do. We know that they handle the important federal funds that come to our schools, that kept teachers at work, that pay special education needs and that sort of thing. But there's no mission. It's not all our fault, it's the federal government's fault too. We're jumping from program to program. I want to be the CEO that engages the people on the front line, and that includes the parents. How do we improve schools? But you do that by talking to the people who deliver the product. Okay. So the next time there's an application for Race to the Top, the very people, the principals, I'll go back to King Middle School, the principal and the teachers, the superintendent, and the parents in that school are so engaged they're going to say, we want this. Because who do you know that doesn't want the best educated student? The parents do.
Okay, yes, it seems logical, like a no-brainer. However, we have this battle between parents, administration, and teachers, and unions. I want to follow up on that. So,
okay, please.
I mean, you clearly, I think all the candidates have agreed that there needs to be some reform. There needs to be educational reform. We're looking at the next generation of our citizens and also workforce. Will you be able to effectively do that? I mean, because of your former teacher and close relationships with the teachers' union, will you be able to make the hard choices?
First, I would like to end that myth, because one.
Here we go.
Okay, I am a teacher. I never belonged to a union because I grew up somewhere else where they didn't even have one. But it is a myth to say that the teachers' unions don't want a good education.
Okay.
They advocate for working conditions as they do anywhere else, and that's their job. And the teachers are the ones every day. I'll bet you in your life you can probably name 2 or 3 teachers that may change your life.
I can.
So I want to empower those teachers to help set policy, because how can you get good schools without empowering the people who are doing the work? I want to give them the tools they need.
How should teachers be evaluated?
I
know that's a huge question, but
it's a great question.
Can we use test scores?
But I need to tell you
that's
something.
in the news.
That goes back to the myth that we're trying to talk about. We took off the books this past session a law that had been there since 1980, which says you cannot use teacher performance and evaluation. That's gone.
Okay.
All these bad unions asked for was, could we be at the table? 2 people, 2 teachers at the table, along with the superintendents and the principals.
That was the concession, the compromise that came out of the session.
But I find that not a concession. I find it the right way to do business.
Okay.
Because as the Senate president, when I led the Senate to balance budgets in a bad economy and to pass bond issues that required Republicans and Democrats, I didn't do it by leaving half the people in the hall and shut the door to my office. I bring people to the table.
Talk to me about how are you going to reduce Acme Company's energy costs, their electric in particular?
That's a huge question. We have to have this great diverse portfolio which is coming online. We are going to need some LNG short term.
Okay.
We're going to need offshore tidal power as well as
wind
wind power.
Offshore drilling there for a second.
Not me.
Okay.
But at the same time, we can talk to Hydro-Quebec and other people, because I want to get our act together. It's urgent. If we don't, and I talk with a federal regulator, as we speak, transmission lines are being contemplated from the Midwest to Maine.
What will be in your first year? What are you going to do about that?
I'm going to continue all the good things we've started. We need to do a lot more. Conservation is really quick, easy off the bat. It's true for businesses, it's true for homes, it's true for the machineries used in production, or for a farmer getting the right kind of equipment, energy efficient. So we need to encourage that. And we have a lot of things in place, but they're not even used well yet. So I'd be a cheerleader for that.
Okay.
I want it here. We could be our geography is on our side. But
that's going to take a lot of investment on our part. How do we do that?
Private businesses are making investments. They see a future there. And look at what's happening already. Private people are trying to make this investment.
So you see that as a private investment piece?
Public-private, but they're also seeking partnerships and setting state energy policy that's supportive of those investments.
And we'll be able to make that investment even in light of our billion-dollar deficit that you're going to have to deal with on day one?
Well, remember, we're already investing in things. Okay. So we take some of the investment money and we redirect it. That's what budgets are, by the way. I'm sort of amused. We talk about taxing and spending. That's what governments do. They tax you, but they spend it on things that are important to people, on tax incentives for businesses. One of the things I fought for, by the way, was a seed capital tax credit, increasing that. And I'm told for our innovation economy, this valley of death where businesses create a job base, but then they can't quite get over the hump, they need credit. So we have to invest.
Thank you.